How are you doing? As far as I've ever experienced many job interviews in my life in Japan, I think 80% of acceptance criteria of job interviews of Japanese companies were mostly applicants' impression. So it is not exaggerated to say impression is everything to pass a job interview of a Japanese company, I think. So in an interview, there are not so many cases that you are asked about your ability and your skill on the job. Rather, Japanese companies try to observe applicants' personality with many questions in different angles. So one thing I can say for sure that the thing that Japanese companies ask for applicants is if you have a personality that people in a company want to work with you, right? So they don't actually attach much value on how excellent skills applicants have. So this is everything. So moreover, CEO, president, and other executives look for someone who is suitable for their personality, which means they are looking for someone with similar personality with them. So so what they focus on about applicants the most in the interview is outward appearance and the formality, such as grooming and wording and how to communicate with others, and etiquette and courtesy, and how to write a CV or something like that. So questions they prepare to ask to applicants beforehand are mostly about identifying the applicants. So simply speaking, what Japanese companies actually focus on about applicants the most is whether they get to like applicants or not. So to ascertain applicant's personality, a HR person observe applicants' tiny behaviors everywhere from the moment applicants come into an office. So I want to tell you one thing, that having an interview with a HR person in an office is just a part of elements that consists of applicant selection in the company. So from the moment that you enter into the office of a company that you apply for, you already begin to be screened by a HR person. So which means you are already observed from the moment that you enter into an office about how you greet and how you communicate with others and how you communicate with a receptionist and how you open the door when you are called, and where your eye line is when you have an interview with a HR person or something. So I'll tell you one stupid example here. So this story was told by a HR person boastfully in person in past. So one day there was a job interview in a company, and several applicants were sitting and waiting for having an interview near an interview room in an office. And staff of a company served applicants a cup of tea there. And one applicant took an empty cup back to a sink after drinking a tea. So staff secretly observed her behavior and whispered it to a HR person. And a HR person decided to allow her to pass the job interview, judging from her behavior in defiance of her ability. So you understand how much Japanese companies place more importance on personality that can be screened with formality and appearance of job applicants, right? So job interview in Japan is something that companies make a selection of applicants' personality, and it's like an interrogation to test applicants on how they behave themselves in the office, right? So I think this custom definitely discriminates the position that should be originally equal footing between applicants as an interviewee and an HR person as an interviewer. So, I mean, applicants come to behave themselves to please a HR person who is given a certain personal discretion about applicants. And naturally, a HR person as an interviewer tend to be seen in a higher position, than that of applicants as an interviewee. And it is pretty much like an applicant is a servant having an audience with a king or something. And applicants tend to make a reasonable behavior to be liked by a HR person, right? So there's a structural problem in the process of job applicant selection system in Japanese companies, in the sense that the company's acceptance policies significantly place too much importance on the elements of interviewees' personality, right? So moreover, there are so many questions that are beyond the reach of my understanding in terms of intention of the question in an interview. So first of all, interviewees are required to speak and explain their entire job history from the beginning, although that is already written on the CV, right? So I want to say, is it really necessary to speak speak the same thing that is already written on the CV, right? It's totally a waste of time, don't you think? And an interviewer asks applicants about their private things, like, are you married, or do you have a kid, or what's your parents' occupation, or what made you to decide to quit the former company or something like that. And an interviewer asks applicants about strength and weakness, about their personality. So this question also doesn't make sense to me. So isn't interviewers sure to believe that the weak points of the personality declared by applicants, how they can inspect reasonability and the accuracy of the applicant's answer about their weak points on their personality? Right? I think humans' personality feature strongly depends on the working environment and and the people around them, workers around them. So if a company wants to know the personality of an applicant, I think it is not really good question to ask. So, and also an interviewer asks applicants if they have already a loyalty to a company, although they don't work there yet, right? So they want to know how strongly applicants want to work for a company through a question to ask the reason of application of a company. And they also want to know applicants' company selections criteria through a question to ask a job application status, like how many companies they actually applied for now so far, and how many companies you already had an interview or something. So recently I just read a book about Google, and Google is enthusiastic about collecting job acceptance data from companies, and it reveals the fact that it's verified based on the collected job acceptance data from several companies, and it repeatedly obtained. And according to Google, so evaluation of applicants of a job is mostly determined for the first 5 minutes, and the rest of the time spent for interview is for backing of prejudice, backing for interviewers' prejudice to interviewers. So interviewers tends to like a person with a similar personality. So the interviewing techniques is in vain after the first 5 minutes, right? So I think Japanese companies need to have more habits to criticize and discuss whether the Japanese, conventional, traditional interviewing method that they follow obediently actually works to hire someone who is suitable for the job, I think.